Morning everyone. It's the first session of the day, we're all not quite awake yet. Who's not had the coffee? Morning everyone. That's it, I'd like to know that everybody's awake so you can all pay attention. First things I'll say, I'm going to go through these slides fairly rapidly this morning. I've got quite a lot to go through. I'll do a bit of explaining as we go on as to why I'm here, but I'm actually going to make the slides totally available to anybody who wants them. So rather than making notes of what's on the slides, ping me an email later on and I'll just send them out to you and you can read them at your heart's content. First off, you were all expecting this morning a guy called Tom Stott from SEO Junkies, part of the Advensis group. Well, unfortunately, Tom couldn't make it. So they said on Friday they needed a superhero to stand in at last minute and actually do his presentation for him. And guess what? They couldn't find one, so I volunteered. So, who am I? Well, John Hetman, we're from MediaCo. We're absolutely nothing to do with SEO Junkies and nothing to do with Advensis. But we're actually going to talk on exactly the same topic, so please be assured that the topic you've come to hear about is what I'm going to be liaising about. Okay, so first off, how many people here are running PPC campaigns at the moment? Ooh, quite a few. How many people are running SEO campaigns? How many people have integrated their PPC and SEO campaigns? That's a lot less hands than the first time round. Okay, you didn't think it was going to be interactive, did you? Okay, well, first off, why did they invite me to speak at last moment? Well, I speak quite frequently at these events. In fact, some of you may notice on the agenda, I'm actually speaking later on this afternoon about SEO and social media. We're speaking again tomorrow on the latest tips and hints of SEO for 2013. We're always invited to speak at these events. We've been around since 1999. We like to think we know what we're talking about, and I'm absolutely delighted to give me the opportunity to speak to you this morning. So let's get straight into it. I'm actually going to assume that there are some people in the room who don't know what PPC is. All right. Now, lots of people smile at that, but I've got to tell you, I actually did a business presentation to a board of directors a few years ago. And there was 9 people I was presenting to, and the presentation went on for an hour and a half, all about the PPC and their paid search campaign. And at the end of it, I said, any questions? And the guy in the corner went, what does PPC stand for? Which obviously meant for the last hour and a half, he hadn't got a clue what I was talking about. So I'm actually not going to assume anything. Right? So let's be very, very clear about this. PPC is an attention-grabbing process. Right? People are looking, they're typing in words or phrases. We all type in words or phrases on Google to try and find something we're looking for. And if you follow Google's business model, it's dead simple. The organic listings should be the site that is the most relevant site to the word or group of words or phrases that you type in. And if it is, you'll find what you're looking for, and Google will be very happy because you're using their search engine. Paid search, obviously, slightly different, is all about actually paying for that click that comes through. Now, what we've got to remember here is, as it's paid search, it comes under this sponsored listing at the top and down the right-hand side. And in essence, what you've got to remember is, the fact is, you're paying for this. So what you want to do is make sure that you're actually advertising in the right place to the right people. Because what you don't want is people clicking on these links and costing you money, when in effect, it's wasting money because they're not actually interested in what you're looking for. Right? So what we've actually got to do is try and grab that attention as quickly as we can. So, how does it integrate? Well, what you've got to look at now is the way Google actually indexes sites. I used to say years ago when I was doing these presentations that we do a presentation on SEO, a presentation on PPC, a presentation on social media, one on content, one on email marketing. The lines have blurred. Right? PPC, when I asked about PPC integration with SEO, the lines have severely blurred in that if you were only doing one of those elements in isolation, you will find that your competitors are probably stealing a march on you. Right? You need to look across border at other elements of your online marketing. So, we all know, well, we should know, in terms of PPC, the main advantage for PPC is speed. It's quick to set up. Right? You can have a PPC account up and running. Some people would say within days, some people would say about a week. In real terms, we've actually done one on the same day where we had an urgent campaign to run. But the essence is, it's very quick to set up, and more importantly, it's very quick to turn off as well. So you're controlling the budget. You're dictating, effectively, what you want to spend, when you want to spend it, and how you want to spend it. But Google changed the rules. About 4 or 5 years ago, they actually looked at it, and what we actually found was that there was very big people, like eBay in the main, that didn't matter what word or phrase people were typing in, they were the #1 listing on the sponsored list, on the paid search lists, because they were paying to be there. They wanted to be seen, their brand to be seen everywhere. But when you actually clicked on that link, when you actually went to a landing page on eBay, it wasn't necessarily about the word or phrase that you were looking for. So in real terms, they weren't being relevant to your search. So Google added this fantastic thing called quality score. How many people know what quality score is? Good, you can all explain it to me later. All right. This is a nice little chart we had our PPC team put together. Effectively, what quality score means is the more relevant your page is to the word or phrase somebody's searching for, when they click on that link on the paid search listings and they go to your landing page, the more relevant you are, the higher your quality score. The higher your quality score, the less you will actually pay for that click-through cost. So what you can actually have is the strange scenario where you could be top listing on the paid results, paying 50 pence a click. And the guy who's in position 2, below you in those listings, could have a worse quality score than you and still be paying £1 a click. Because Google are charging him more money because his quality score is less. Right? And what actually affects quality score? Well, one of the key factors that affects quality score is the relevance of the content on the landing page. Now, if we know anything about SEO, search engine optimization, we know that one of the key factors of SEO is relevance and quality of content on page. So essentially, if you've got optimized landing pages for your PPC campaign, you've actually got a higher quality score, you can actually reduce your paid search costing. So straight away, we start to see how quality content is a theme throughout the whole process here. It's not just SEO, it's not just on-site, it's also through your paid search campaign. And the key factor is here, one of the things that we often do, we look at this quality score factor. Companies come to us with varying ranges of budgets, and they'll say, we're spending X on our PPC account. And the first thing that we look at is that the campaign may be structured brilliantly, that they've got the right key phrases that they're targeting, they've got the right ads to attract the right people, but when they actually click through to it, the page that they're going to isn't necessarily up to the task, therefore their quality score is low, and because their quality score is low, their cost per click is relatively high. So the process is not about actually changing their paid search campaign, the process is about making sure that their on-site SEO, the relevance and quality of their content is as good as it needs to be, and what you find is then the click-through cost gets lower, then you're getting obviously either a reduction in your paid search budget or you're getting more click-throughs for the same amount of budget. So it could actually be nothing to do with adapting your paid search campaign, that can actually either save you money or get you more traffic. So, if we bring that down to basics, with PPC, the element that you really need to focus on is control. Right? Because you have the right to control your own paid search campaign. As I say, you can switch it on and off at will, you can target the phrases that you want, you can target the click-through, adverts, you can dictate what Google says. With SEO, the difference is you can only influence that. Right? We all know about the Google algorithm. Who's heard of Panda and Penguin? Panda and Penguin were two major Google updates last year. We call them the Google dance, because everybody's kept on their toes while Google are changing the system. Right? And one of the things I'd actually say to you in terms of the Google algorithm is if you'll keep looking at the Google algorithm and adapting your site to keep up with it, you're doing it wrong. Right? What you need to be doing is actually making sure your site is right with good quality, user-friendly content in the first place. And if it's got good quality, user-friendly content, and you're following content guidelines in terms of distribution, visibility, etc., you wouldn't have to worry about Panda and Penguin and any other black furry animal that Google decide to bring out in the future. Right? But because of SEO, the fact you can only influence it, that's where PPC comes in as a very, very strategic tool. And a lot of people use PPC incorrectly. How many people use PPC for brand purposes? Few? Right. With PPC for brand, I always suggest, if you've got a brand and it's your name and your competitors are out there and they're bidding against your brand, so should you. You should have your brand there because Google will recognize you as the brand. You'll be the top of the paid search listings. What you'll actually find is your brand will more often than not appear at the top of the SEO rankings, so the natural listings. So if you're actually appearing in both places, we have this strange thing where firstly, people are recognizing your brand. Secondly, because you're in both places, they deem you as more relevant to their search. And guess what? They are more likely to click the organic listing, the natural listing, than they are your paid search listing. So it's not actually going to cost you a great deal more money. But it's almost expected, particularly in the B2C world, that your brand should be there for any brand relevant searches. And you should also be there from paid search point of view. Certainly look at doing that. But it's all about conversions. I get people come to me and say, we want to be number one on Google. And I went, no you don't. What you want is more traffic to your website. Right? And that might not necessarily mean you need to be number one on Google. conversely. There's other ways of doing that. It's all about driving traffic. And PPC is a great tool for driving traffic because, again, you can switch it on and off. So you can use it strategically. Many people we talk to put a campaign on, they set it all up, it's fantastic, and they just leave it there. They leave it there and it's bringing in the nice traffic, etc. But they don't go back and review, they don't go back and test. They certainly don't do strategic planning for maybe events. Obviously what we've just had is Valentine's a few weeks ago. Right? Lots of people do Valentine's campaigns, then they switch them off, they switch them back on for the Mother's Day campaigns, etc. Use it strategically. But actually, if you're going to work with an SEO perspective, your SEO planning needs to be 3 to 6 months ago, whereas your PPC planning could be within the last month. Okay. There is a lot of similarities between content across PPC and SEO, and this is all about getting the landing page right. Right? What you've got to bear in mind is these information that you're getting here, Gatwick Meet and Greet, that's your title. On a paid search listing, you don't necessarily have to be number 1 on Google for sponsored listings. You could be number 2 or 3 if your ad is actually structured better than the people who are already there. And I've got some examples of some really bad ads very shortly. But it's about tailoring your ad to attract. These are marketing messages. This isn't techie stuff. This is a marketing message to get people to click your link and go to your site. So look at it from a marketing perspective. What would your clients or your potential customers need to see there that's going to encourage them to click your link as opposed to your competitor's links? And what you have to do is follow the different models in terms of PPC and SEO. How much variation can you actually put in there in terms of the characters that you have available? Right. We talk about editorial guidelines, controlling the message, relevancy, etc. But effectively, it's the same principle whether it's SEO or PPC. Now with PPC, it's actually very easy to create your own ads, to create your own title, to create your own message, to link through to your own landing page. With SEO, the difference is Google's actually dictating which one of these they're actually going to pick up. Right? So you need to make sure that your site is configured correctly so that your marketing message for that click-through is actually most relevant, and that's what they're actually going to pick up and index for you. Okay. Very busy slide here, I do apologise for this, but in essence, what we're talking about here is actually structuring your paid search campaign to do 2 things. What you want to get is click-throughs where they're paying to click through, or you're paying for it. You want those click-throughs from people who actually might want to interact with you or buy from you. You don't want the time wasters, you don't want the tyre kickers, and you don't want the people who are just having a look to see what you do, because you're paying for it. So you need to structure your ads, and sometimes I call it the negative positive. It's almost writing an ad in a negative way that says, if you're not interested in this, don't come here. All right? Now there's an art to that, because you only have that amount of characters to play with. But if you want to get quality responses, you do need to spend the time and structure your ads and have your ad groups structured correctly. What you don't want is to have the same ad for every keyword that you're targeting that says the same thing over and over again. You're giving the wrong message. People will click through and say, that's not what I'm looking for. What do? For anything like me, you click the back button. You're gone. Right? The minute they click the back button, they're telling Google, well, not only have you paid for that click-through, but they're telling Google that page isn't as relevant for that word or phrase that you thought it was. And on that basis, that is effectively a negative element from a Google perspective. The more people clicking your back button and going away from your site. Anybody know what bounce rate is? That's what you get through Google Analytics. You can actually check your bounce rate, how many people are leaving those pages. And if you suddenly find through your paid search campaign, lots of people are actually bouncing off your landing page, guess what? Your landing page quality score is going to go down. Your landing page quality score goes down, your cost per click goes up. So it's in your interest not only to make sure that the ad is correct and correctly structured, that you're driving the right level of traffic, that's actually coming to the right page, that is then going to give them a usability experience. And that's exactly the same whether it's PPC or whether it's SEO. Okay. With quality score, what we're talking about is effectively using quality score correctly is an SEO element to reduce your paid search click-through cost. But what we're trying to say here is from a PPC point of view, you've got to write those ads in the correct way. Now, dear old Abe Lincoln here, well, we had the Oscars this week, so that's probably Daniel Day-Lewis these days, isn't it? But he actually said, I'm sorry for writing such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one. One of his famous quotes. When you're writing your PPC ads, the biggest problem I find is people say, well, we've got to get the ads up there. We've got to write 20, 30, 40 different ads. And they just write rubbish and they post it up. You need to give some time and thought. It does take an awful lot more time to look at a marketing message with a few amount of characters to play with than if you're writing an A4 sheet of paper. So actually stop and think about it. Look at what the message needs to be. What is actually going to attract people to your site? What is going to make them click through to that particular landing page? Here's some examples. This is the Razzies, not the Oscars. These are the ones that got it wrong. My favourite one on there is Baby, Buy Baby, free delivery on everything at Play. Fantastic. This one's brilliant. SA Media, professional, spelt wrong. Right, brilliant. Absolutely great. £40 per hour plumbing in Edinburgh, brilliant. You know, but I mean, these ads, they're just not there. They're just not doing it. The quality scored on these pages was absolutely atrocious. So as Google actually say, and I'll read this, if you produce great original on and off-site content, structured well with unique quality content, you will rank well. And that doesn't matter whether you're looking at an SEO element, whether you're looking at PPC landing pages or your PPC campaign overall. The quality of the content in your campaigns needs to be high. The higher it is, the lower your quality, the higher your quality score, the lower your click-through. And what we don't want, going back to the Oscars again, is to get a film like Argo winning the Oscars where they've been a bit economical with the truth, but there again, when have Hollywood ever let the truth get in the way of a good story? Right? Make sure your ad is actually telling the exact story that gets people who click on the ad and go to that ad. They're finding exactly what they're looking for. Therefore, you've paid for it. They're landing there. They're actually going to interact with you and do something. Biggest mistake we'll talk about in terms of landing pages is what happens when people get to the site. It's all about return on investment. How many people here actually measure the return on investment with PPC? Yeah? Yeah? Right. There's not as many hands who said they've got PPC campaigns. You should be looking at this on a very, very regular basis and actually saying, I'm spending this amount of money, this is the click-through traffic I'm getting, these are the people coming to the landing pages, these are the people staying or interacting with those landing pages, where are they going in the site, how are they interacting, are they downloading brochures, leaving their email for a newsletter, are they actually buying my product? You should be analysing this on a regular basis. But one of the starting points is always, at the end of the day, what are people searching for? What word or phrase are they actually typing in? Because that's exactly what you need to be found for. Now, the big difference here is two ways of looking at things. What you think you want to be found for isn't necessarily what your clients are actually looking for. And that's one of the things about PPC, where you can actually use it because you can switch it on and switch it off, you have full control, you can test and measure. So what you should do is look at a range of key phrases. What would your clients potentially use to try and find you? What phrases do you need to have ads for? What phrases do you need to have landing pages for? And then test it. Test variants, test variations of the phrase, test longer tail phrases, which we'll come on to shortly. Right? And actually see which is actually performing better, which is actually getting not only just the highest click-through rate, but the highest conversion rate. Because at the end of the day, it's about driving conversions. Lots of key phrase tools out there. Google have got their own that you can actually play around with. Key phrase research should actually be first part of every visit that you do. How many people did key phrase research before you launched a paid search campaign? Again, not as many hands as said you're running paid search campaigns. Don't use the Google keyword tool and just say, great, we'll follow all of these phrases. You will probably find you're wasting a lot of money on redundant phrases. Don't be redundant. Make sure that you're focusing phrases that you need to have. And one of the things you can actually use SEO for, and particularly through Google Analytics, and if you're already using paid search campaign, which phrases have already got traffic coming to you. And if you're already on the top pages of Google from an SEO point of view, do you need to be putting in major effort for those phrases for paid search? Could you be looking at longer tail variants? It's all about driving traffic across both platforms. Use your Google Analytics, analyze it, see what it's saying, what is the click-through rate? Also, as I've said before, what's the bounce rate? If people are landing on your pages and going, it's not good, guys, particularly if it's above 45%, 50%. You need to do something. Either you're targeting the wrong traffic, or B, worse still, your landing page isn't up to the task. And in terms of key phrase data, one thing I like about key phrase data, it's real-time data. You can actually look at your campaign, you can actually see where are people clicking, where are they interacting, where are they coming into your site, where are they leaving your site. How much is it actually costing you for those click-throughs? And then you can actually measure. You can actually measure your SEO cost of traffic against your PPC cost of traffic. Because one of the problems we have with SEO and PPC integration is people say, well, I know what I'm spending on PPC. I can see that. I'm spending my budget each month and this is the amount of click-throughs I'm getting and this is the amount of conversions. It's more difficult to measure on an SEO basis. Use the data that you've already got. You can actually see what your positions are, what your click-throughs are from an SEO perspective. You can then analyse your actual cost of acquisition. And you may be surprised that if your SEO campaign has got good quality content, sticky content that makes people stay on the site, good user experience that makes people interact with you, you will find your cost through SEO may be significantly less than your paid search cost. That's why you need to integrate both campaigns.
And PPC, one of the great features of PPC is long tail. And by long tail, what we're talking of is 3, 4, 5 words in a group, the long tail phrase. Because what you find is where people are searching on one word, it's research. Where they're searching on 2, they're just having a quick look round. When they're searching on 3, 4 or 5, they know exactly what they're looking for and they're trying to find it. And that means they are far more likely to convert. So your PPC efforts, ideally from a conversion point of view, should be focusing on the long tail, because the conversion probability is higher. You're paying for that click-through, you need to receive return on your investment for that click-through cost. Okay. What I've spoken about in terms of PPC landing pages, we actually want to say that don't do anything different. It is the same for SEO, it's the same for PPC. If you write in the same way, page titles are very, very important. Right? On your page title, you're actually telling Google what the page is about. So if you've got a particular word or a family group of phrases that page is relevant to, make sure it's in the page title. Right? Don't have your page title as either your URL or your brand name. Google already know that. The first bit in your page title should be the word or phrase that people are searching for. When they land on that page and they get there, they need to have a clear instruction of what to do next. Right? Now, with the advent of tablet computers, with the advent of 3G, 4G mobile phones, and the advent of, not like this one, but I've got a nice little 11-inch laptop, what you often find is I actually go to landing pages for a PPC campaign and all the information I need is at the bottom of the page, which means I've got to scroll down to find it, because my screen doesn't resolute high enough. So I've got to scroll down to find it, and there's the call to action. If the call to action was actually above the fold and actually in my face straight away, I might have seen it and interacted far faster and found what I'm looking for. I may miss it otherwise. Look at what your call to action is, and obviously it's going to be different for each individual business, but your call to action is what's going to dictate whether you've got a successful campaign or not. And it, again, doesn't matter whether it's PPC or SEO, the call to action is the focus. It's engaging, sticky content that's going to make the user find a good experience who's going to interact with you. The back button. We've spoken about the back button. You really don't want people clicking the back button. Look at your Google Analytics, see what your bounce rate is on your PPC campaigns, see what your bounce rate is on your SEO campaigns, look at the statistics. If it's high, do something about it. And more often than not, when you research it, you'll find that the problem with it is purely and simply that the landing page isn't up to the task. Change your landing page. Right? Trial it. Do different versions. See what works best for you. All right? Sticky content. You need sticky content. By sticky content, what we actually mean is content that's actually going to engage people. Now, I'm a great believer in that most people on the internet scan read. I scan read. I find what I'm looking for and I have a quick look down. Is it there? Yes, I'll interact. If it's not, I'm off. I'm gone. So if your landing pages, particularly for a paid search campaign, have got 500 or 600 words of text on there that somebody's got to sit and read, I bet your bounce rate is very, very high, because they're not going to interact with that level of content. You need to make sure there's something there to make them click through. All right? Have that focus. Literally tell them in the face what to do. Do it now. Buy from us. Quality content, user experience, ease of navigation. Can they find what they're looking for? Can they find it quickly? Can they interact with your site? Are they actually going to click through and do something? All right? How many people use remarketing, retargeting? A few? All right. Quite simply, this is the process. This is Google's instructions of what it's all about. You can have a look yourself on Google. All right. What it's basically about is if somebody comes and looks at your paid search ad and then leaves your site, right, it's all about capturing that so that Google knows that they're interested in you, and then you can actually post ads up for your site or your products on other sites so that when they visit those other sites, your ad appears in front of them. So it gives you a second opportunity of visibility. Right? And in essence, it works again. It's about all visits to your website. So it's not just PPC, it's about SEO as well. And you can actually tailor this completely so that everybody who's actually visiting your site gets a second bite of the cherry. Anybody here in the B2B world? Okay, B2B is actually slightly different from B2C in that there isn't the data protection legislation in place. So you can actually use these IP data capture tools. There's a company here called Lead Forensics up by the front that we work in partnership with. And what they do is they capture data for people who've visited your site who've left without interacting with you. And they can capture that data and give you the opportunity to do direct marketing back to them, following up so that you know that they've visited your site, you know that they didn't interact, but you can actually have a second go at getting that person on board. Right? It only works on B2B. There's data protection issues from a B2C point of view. But then we've got to look at when the people are coming to your site and they're landing on the site, they're getting in there, what are they doing? What's the route that they're taking? Are they getting onto your landing page? Are they clicking through to your call to action? When they get to that call to action, are they buying from you? Are they interacting with you? What is the problem? Right. Where are they going? Where are they leaving your site? All part of this is the review that you should be doing on a monthly basis for all of your campaigns. Because part of that, again, the sales funnel, it's all about test and measure. Particularly with PPC. PPC is costing you money. Every month you're running a paid search campaign, you're paying for the clicks. You should be measuring the cost of those clicks, the interaction of your site, where people are doing, where you could actually improve your process to save you money or bring you more traffic. It's not rocket science, it's all there. And you can actually use site search. If anybody's got the site search facility on analytics, actually seeing where people are coming in, where they're leaving, how are they interacting, what pages are they favouring, try different versions of testing on pages, etc. So what I actually want to say before we quickly close up is everybody here in terms of everybody here in terms of a pay-per-click campaign, it's dead simple. You should be walking away with the Oscar, right? Because it is not difficult to configure a paid search campaign to get your quality score as high to that 10 out of 10 as possible, to make sure that you've got good quality content that people are going to interact with. You have a successful campaign that then brings you a return on the investment that you're making. Because what you don't want to do is fall flat on your face, all right? Make sure your strategy integrates with SEO. Right? Don't see them as two separate entities. They are not. Right? Paid search relies on quality score. Quality score relies on optimized content. Optimized content is part of your SEO structure of your overall site. Right? The higher you can get your quality score, the lower your click-through cost is going to be. You need to make every effort to do that. I would also say that there's lots of social media elements that you could actually be bringing into the play here in terms of SEO and PPC, but I haven't got time to go into that at the moment. All right? You can actually increase your click-through rate from pay-per-click purely and simply by having better quality optimized SEO content on your site. Right? And sometimes I actually say, does your SEO need PPC? If your campaign on SEO, your natural search is working very well, what are you missing? What are the long tail phrases that you're not being found for? What is the other traffic that you could be targeting? Perhaps put in a special PPC campaign to cover that. You need to make sure that you're looking at your return on investment. That is what it's all about. Relevant phrases, relevant targeted ads, relevant landing page, doesn't matter whether we're talking PPC or SEO, integrate the two together, and then it is literally as easy as PPC. Thank you very much for listening.